Mistakes. Judkins unleashed. Judkins touchdown.
Hey fellas, how about that teammate game right there? How about supporting each other? How about supporting each other? How about pushing each other? How about celebrating with each other? Okay? That's what it's about in this team game. When we push each other, when we pick each other up, I appreciate how you guys work. There's some good on that field. First, I'm going to start here. Just broke a record for most starts by a Brown since 1999 when Browns came back.
The locker room was electric. You could feel the energy bouncing off the walls, a mixture of relief and pride. Kevin Stefanski stood in the center, surrounded by players drenched in sweat, pads half unstrapped, helmets resting on the floor. The Cleveland Browns had just done something they hadn't managed in nearly 2 years, put together a complete, dominant win. This wasn't just about a victory. This was about setting a tone, proving a point, and reminding everyone inside that locker room what Cleveland football is supposed to look like.
We asked the Browns time and time again to go ahead and score 20 points for us. It's been a long time. They go ahead and not only not do that again, but they don't score 10 points. And the offense, it's painful to watch, Matt. And they have nothing going for them. They have no identity. This was the worst rushing game you've had since Quinshon Judkins was here.
After a week of criticism, after months of questions about leadership and consistency, Stefanski didn't walk in like a man relieved. He walked in like a man reaffirmed. How about supporting each other? How about pushing each other? How about celebrating with each other? He shouted, his voice echoing through the room. Every player clapped, every coach nodded. That wasn't coach talk, it was conviction. He was telling them what every great locker room needs to hear. That brotherhood wins games long before the scoreboard does.
3 touchdowns for the young kid. Okay, some good out there. Some good +4 turnover margin. Okay? You're going to win a lot of games, probably all of them, if you go +4. Okay? That was a great job. Tyson gets his first touchdown. Nice job with the Browns.
It wasn't a perfect season up to this point. The Browns had struggled to string together back-to-back wins since December of 2023. Every time they seemed ready to take that next step, something went wrong. An injury, a bad turnover, a missed assignment, but this time felt different. Against Miami, they didn't just win, they dominated. From the first snap, they dictated the tone. The run game clicked, the defense flew around, the turnovers came in waves. And when it was over, the Browns had blown the doors off a Dolphins team that looked lost under pressure.
Just a great piece of work inside, and then that's what you want to see. You want to see number 10 in the open field, Spiro, taking it to that.
In the center of it all was that young quarterback, calm, composed, and efficient. 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and total command. Stefanski pointed right at him during the speech. 3 touchdowns for the young kid, he said, smiling like a proud mentor. The locker room erupted. Players slapped helmets, shouted, and cheered. They knew what this meant. This was the kind of game that builds belief, the kind that makes a team start to trust its own process again.
Okay, and then, defense, you're all getting the game ball, okay? But I want to do this. That defense out there, including to the very last play, okay? 4 sacks, 11 tackles for loss.
Oh my mama, no!
Okay? This ball is going to Coach Schwartz for that plan and for executing that plan and for us playing our style defense. So where are you, Coach Schwartz?
Schwartz.
And that's where Stefanski took his message next. When we push each other, when we pick each other up, that's what it's about in this team game. He wasn't talking about statistics. He was talking about identity. The Browns, for years, have had talent. What they lacked was consistency. What they lacked was chemistry. And on this day, they finally looked like a group that understood who they were supposed to be. Before we continue, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and we've got a lot more powerful stories like this coming your way every week. One of the most powerful parts of the speech was when Stefanski pointed out the +4 turnover margin. You could hear it in his voice. He knew how rare that was. You're going to win a lot of games, probably all of them, if you go +4, he told them. He wasn't exaggerating. In the NFL, turnover differential is everything. It's the invisible stat that decides champions. For the Browns to not just win, but dominate in that category was proof of discipline, awareness, and collective focus. Every takeaway came with effort. Every forced fumble, every interception, every quarterback hit, it all came from hustle. Tyson, the young wide receiver, scored his first touchdown of the season. Grant delivered a punch-out on a key drive. And the defense? 4 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. That's not luck. That's execution. That's film room preparation meeting real-time instinct. Then came the moment every Browns fan loves to see. Stefanski looked over at his defensive coordinator. "Where are you, Coach Schwartz?" he said. The room exploded in applause. "Hell yeah," he continued. "Well done. 300 pounds on the bench and all." It was a lighthearted moment, but it carried weight. Stefanski wasn't just congratulating his defensive coordinator. He was showing what leadership looks like. Give credit where it's due. Let the players and coaches feel ownership of the win. That's how you build culture. What made this speech different was the timing. The Browns weren't 10-2 and rolling through the league. They were fighting for rhythm, fighting for respect, fighting to prove that Cleveland football still stands for toughness. And in that moment, Kevin Stefanski reminded them that they still control their destiny. When he shouted out the players, Tyson, Grant, the defense, he was doing more than celebrating stats. He was reinforcing values. Every name he mentioned represented effort. Every play he referenced was about accountability. And every word he spoke carried the weight of a locker room that's been through highs, lows, and everything in between. This win wasn't just about the Dolphins. It was about the Browns showing they could play a complete game. Offense, defense, and special teams all in sync. The offensive line protected better than they had in weeks. The defensive line collapsed pockets. The secondary played aggressive, sticky coverage. And most importantly, the energy was contagious. From the moment Stefanski entered the locker room, the players looked like a family again. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We post daily Browns coverage, behind-the-scenes moments, and real breakdowns that every Cleveland fan needs to see. It's been a long time since the Browns looked this connected. You could tell that Stefanski's words weren't just for the cameras. They were for his players. He's been questioned a lot in recent seasons. Some said he lost the locker room. Others said the team was too inconsistent under his leadership. But in that speech, none of that mattered. What mattered was how the players responded. The way they stood behind him, the way they shouted, clapped, and laughed, it told you everything. They believed again. And that's not something you can fake. Belief is earned. You earn it in practices that nobody sees, in film sessions that stretch late into the night, in the way veterans hold rookies accountable. You earn it when the coach doesn't panic after a loss, when he still demands focus and precision. That's what Stefanski did here. He set the standard without shouting at anyone. He led with respect. This win might have looked like a simple blowout on paper, but it was much more. It was the return of the Browns' identity. Physical, fast, team-oriented football. They didn't rely on flashy plays or last-second miracles. They outworked and outplanned Miami in every phase of the game. From the opening drive, you could tell this team came prepared. Every block, every blitz, every tackle, it all clicked like a well-oiled machine. The speech also carried a bigger message, momentum. Stefanski reminded his players that this was only the beginning. "Let's make it 2 in a row," he said earlier that week, referring to the fact that the Browns hadn't won consecutive games since 2023. That streak now sits on the edge of being broken, and this speech was a launching pad. You could hear in his tone that he wanted more. This wasn't about one feel-good win. It was about building something sustainable. What stands out is how grounded Stefanski kept it. There was no arrogance, no overhype. He acknowledged the record, the effort, and the plan, but kept the focus on growth. He didn't say, "We've arrived." He said, "There's good out there." That phrasing matters. It's a coach's way of saying, "You did well, but we're not done yet." And if you're a Browns fan, that's exactly what you want to hear. You don't want temporary highs. You want sustained fire. You want the kind of culture where players hold each other accountable because they know they're building towards something bigger than one Sunday afternoon. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Browns post-game reactions and exclusive locker room coverage. Stefanski's leadership style has always been about balance. He's not the loudest guy in the room, but his calm confidence sets the tone. When he talks, players listen. And this moment was proof. No gimmicks, no motivational cliches, just real talk. You're going to win a lot of games if you go +4. He said it almost matter-of-factly, and yet the way he said it, the players nodded like they'd unlocked a secret. Because they had. That stat wasn't random. It symbolized everything Stefanski has been trying to build. Discipline, smart football, and collective responsibility. You don't go +4 in turnovers by accident. That's about preparation meeting opportunity. It's about a defense that swarms and an offense that protects the ball. And against the Dolphins, the Browns did both perfectly. Even the humor in that locker room mattered. When Stefanski joked about Jim Schwartz and the 300 pounds on the bench, the room erupted. That laughter wasn't just funny, it was healthy. It showed unity. It showed that this coaching staff and roster were aligned. Schwartz's defensive plan worked to perfection. The Browns didn't just play defense, they imposed it. Every Dolphins drive looked more desperate than the last. That's what Stefanski means by our style of defense. Aggressive, opportunistic, physical. You could see it in every snap. When the defense made a big play, the entire sideline celebrated together. When the offense scored, defensive players were the first to cheer. That's how you know a locker room is clicking. The Browns ran the ball effectively, just as Stefanski highlighted. They controlled the tempo, forced Miami to adjust, and kept the game out of reach. And as that locker room speech came to a close, you could see something shift in the players' faces. Confidence. Not arrogance, just quiet, earned confidence. And if the Browns can carry that same energy forward, this might just be the turning point of their season. Winning one game doesn't guarantee success, but building a mindset like this does. Stefanski's message wasn't about being perfect. It was about being united. About playing smart, finishing plays, and celebrating together. Every coach talks about culture, but few actually create it. On this night, Kevin Stefanski didn't just talk about it, he proved it.